Okay, so now we're getting into section 2 of unit 10, and we're staying with the theme of the future of mass media. And some things I should have announced in the first section. Please note that if you have participated in any research studies for extra credit, all of that should be reflected at least like a week before the end of the semester or before finals week. So I have received some of the list about of those participants, but not all of them. So just know that they will be updated as I continue to get them in. So if it doesn't reflect what you've participated in, it's not that I missed it, it's just that it probably has not been sent to me yet. And also, as far as your grades are concerned, make sure that you're checking your grades on eCampus and making sure that the grade book lines up with what you've submitted. And I try really hard to not make any mistakes with that, but I make mistakes. I mean, I'm human, I make mistakes. If I've made a mistake on anything, please reach out to me. And then also you should have access to a student evaluation form on eCampus. I greatly appreciate you filling that out. You don't have to, it's not required, but I really appreciate it. And I use your feedback to influence how I teach. And I really think that student feedback creates better teachers. So I will use that information that I receive from those. I don't receive those, those aren't released to me until well after the semester. So if you're ever concerned about your teacher getting mad at you or something, they can't see your evaluations and they can't see who they're from either, just so you know. So yeah, please fill this out when it's most convenient for you. I really appreciate your feedback. If you've already done so, thank you. And we're not going to do the review because we just went over that first section, but feel free to answer those questions. It will help you in studying for the exam. In this section, we'll talk about virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and deep fake technology. First is virtual reality, which is computer-aided stimuli creating the immersive illusion of an alternative environment that can be interacted with and explored. So a lot of the time you'll see those headsets. I've had a few friends who have VR systems, super interesting. But basically it takes you out of reality and puts you into a new reality via these goggles. So yeah, it's interactive most of the time, and it's an alternative environment. We'll watch a couple examples. Here's an example of a Facebook virtual reality. And this one does not, some of these also don't necessarily, yeah, we'll just watch this example.
Okay, bye.
Or not.
So it's pretty wild, right? That we can literally take ourselves out of our own reality and immerse ourselves in a different reality. And I think reality is probably subjective, but it's wild that we can create and interact in this different level, right? And I think that we are on we're just starting this phenomenon, So I think this has a lot. I mean, this was an example of a Facebook virtual reality. There are others. I remember, whoops, sorry. Go to the next one. I remember going to, I guess it was Disney World. It was some theme park when I was a teenager, which was a while ago. And they did like virtual reality about, it was like a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids virtual reality, where it was not creating, it was not really interacting. It was just like, it was an example like this example that we're about to watch. So. Okay, so we are not going to watch the whole thing, but you get the idea, and you can watch this again if you want to just go look at the PowerPoints that are uploaded on eCampus. But basically, this is what I was talking about with like being immersed in a scenario. This is kind of out of your control. You're just, it's like a ride, right? Which lets you experience these things that are totally outside of like our wildest dreams, right? Some things that we are totally unable to ever experience in our like reality as human beings on this earth during this time, right? So yeah, a good example of the Avatar virtual reality kind of ride, as opposed to like the more Sims-esque, like actually building, interacting on a virtual platform. Here's a TED Talk. I put it on eCampus already, but I'm not going to watch the whole thing on here because it is really long. But I do encourage you to watch it. It's about this guy who spent a week in virtual reality. Super interesting. Highly encourage you watch it. And then I always like to ask, obviously we're in an online setting, so you can't answer this right now, but I am always curious about any virtual reality experiences that students have had that I might not know about. So if you do have something and you want to share, please share via email or whatever. And then we're getting into artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence, otherwise known as AI, is a wide-ranging branch of computer science concerned with building smart machines capable of performing tasks that usually require humans. The go-to example I like to use for this is like Alexa, where you can literally communicate with Alexa, and then Alexa communicates back with you. And Alexa does like the searching and the finding of whatever, like, or yeah, Alexa play whatever the song is, or Alexa, what is the question, so that's my go-to example of AI, but AI also exists in smartphones and in a variety of other things too. Here is an example of artificial intelligence.
A mildly fun thing to do when you're bored is start the beginning of a text message and then use only the suggested words to finish it.
In 5 years, I will see you in the morning, and then you can get it.
The technology behind these text predictions is called a language model, a computer program that uses statistics to guess the next word in a sentence. And in the past year, some other newer language models have gotten really weirdly good at generating text that mimics human writing.
In 5 years, I will never return to this place. He felt his eyes sting and his throat tighten. It's probably
The program completely made this up. It's not taken from anywhere else, and it's not using a template made by humans. For the first time in history, computers can write stories. The only problem is that it's easier for them to write fiction than to write facts. Language models are useful for a lot of reasons. They help recognize speech properly when sounds are ambiguous in speech-to-text applications. And they can make translations more fluent when a word in one language maps to multiple words in another. But if you asked language models to simply generate passages of text, the results never made much sense.
So the kinds of things that made sense to do were like generating single words or very short phrases.
For years, Janelle Shane has been experimenting with language generation for her blog AI Weirdness. Her algorithms have generated paint colors,
Bull cream.
Halloween costumes,
Sexy Michael Sarah.
and pickup lines.
You look like a thing, and I love you.
But this is what she got in 2017 when she asked for longer passages like the first line of a novel.
The year of the island is discovered the Missouri of the galaxy, like a teenage lying and always discovered the year of her own class writing bed. It makes no sense.
Compare that to this opening line from a newer language model called GPT-2.
It was a rainy, drizzling day in the summer of 1869, and the people of New York, who had become accustomed to the warm, kissable air of the city, were having another bad one.
It's like it's getting better at bullshitting us.
Yes, it is very good at generating scannable, readable
Going from word salad to pretty passable prose took a new approach in the field of natural language processing. Typically, language tasks have required carefully structured data. You need thousands of correct examples to train the program. For translation, you need a bunch of samples of the same document in multiple languages. For spam filters, you need emails that humans have labeled as spam. For summarization, you need full documents plus their human-written summaries. These data sources are limited and can take a lot of work to collect. But if the task is simply to guess the next word in a sentence, the problem comes with its own solution. So the training data can be any human-written text, no labeling required. This is called self-supervised learning and makes it easy and inexpensive to gather data, which means that you can use a lot of it. Like all of Wikipedia, or 11,000 books, or 8 million websites. With that amount of data, plus serious computing resources and a few tweaks to the architecture and size of these algorithms, these new language models build vast mathematical maps of how every word correlates with every other word, all without being explicitly told any of the rules of grammar or syntax. That gives them fluency with whatever language they're trained on, but it doesn't mean they know what's true and false. To get language models to generate true stories, like summarizing documents or answering questions accurately, it takes extra training.
Okay, so again, we won't watch that whole video, but I encourage you to go watch the rest of it it'll be on the PowerPoint slide in eCampus. So really wild stuff that AI can generate, like actual competent sentences that make sense.
Simplest.
And then beyond those things that we talked about, can you think of any other types of artificial intelligence? And again, feel free to share those with me if you'd like via email or whatever. Now we're going to take a break and get into deep fake technology.